Well, today is Monday, July 28th, 2025. And once again, I'm going to be reading from the UCC, United Church of Christ Daily Devotional, using a Christian text and devotional to talk about everyday life, not necessarily from a Christian perspective or even from a perspective where there is a belief in a creator, God, whatever you may think. And just talking about the impact and the things I've taken from reading this devotion myself. The devotion I'll be reading today is entitled What We Bring, written by Fiwa Manjani. Fiwa bases the devotion upon Ephesians chapter 4, verses 1 through 2 from the Common English Bible. Therefore, as a prisoner for the Lord, I encourage you to live as people worthy of the call you receive from God. Conduct yourselves with all humility, gentleness, and patience. Accept each other with love. And then Fiwa writes, it's not the resume, it's not the credentials, it's not the pulpit, the collar, the perfectly worded prayer, or the well-rehearsed theology. We're not called to bring those things. Humility, gentleness, patience, that's the list. There's something wonderfully subversive about that, especially in a world where power and performance are often mistaken for purpose. Paul reminds us that God's call to us isn't about what we achieve or where we excel. It's about how we show up with softness, with steadiness, with space for each other's humanity. And that's not just for Sunday mornings or ministry projects. That's how we bring our whole selves into the daily, the messy, the mundane. That's how we do community. It's how we stay in the same room with people with whom we don't agree and still believe in something bigger than ourselves. The call is not to perfection, the call is to presence. So when egos battle for airtime, we bring unrelenting humility. When the world insists on bravado, we bring audacious gentleness. When urgency tries to steal our calm, we bring imperfect patience. When division tempts us to cancel or cut off, we bring love that knows how to stay. This isn't passive. This is powerful. This isn't convenience. This is the call. And Fiwa's prayer. Holy One, quiet the noise that distracts us from what matters. Let humility, gentleness, and patience rise in us today. Teach us how to bring your kind of love with us wherever we go, even when it's hard. A couple of things that came to mind as I was reading this is first, I think Fiwa wrote this probably with ministers in mind. But as I was reading it, I think it pertains to every single person. And there are some traditions in which every person is considered a minister and called by God, by a greater being. But I really think it's a message for every single person, regardless of whether you believe in a supreme being, God, or not. It's just a way of being human. I was also reminded of the times I've spent as a chaplain. I was an on-call chaplain for a while with a hospital for a few years, being called in to the emergency room typically when someone was being airlifted to a bigger hospital for more urgent care than the hospital in the small town I lived in could provide, or if there was an impending death or just a strenuous situation. Difficult situation that people were facing, and I always had to go into that without any preconceptions of the people that I was seeing, their political, religious background. Of course, I would ask them questions about their belief systems that supported them, but I always tried to meet them where they were, and just be present with them. Sometimes it was simply me just being in the room with them to be a presence, a listening ear. Sometimes it was getting a cup of coffee or a cup of water or something, or making a phone call on behalf of them to someone else. But it was just being present, and that's being human, recognizing our interconnectedness and our need for community to really survive. And I think that's what this devotion raised up in me, is how important it is, especially today in such a divisive world in which we live, to set aside the things that divide us and just be present with one another. And it's hard. Sometimes it's really hard because we're constantly bombarded with clicks on things that reinforce our biases and prevent us from really getting to know one another and care for each other. And getting to know one another and caring for one another, that is truly being human. And it's something that we should all be feeling called to do, regardless of our whether we believe in a higher power, a supreme being, or not. It is just to be human with and for one another.